So I saw an interesting article today um, about Arizona and efforts to regulate service dogs. Let's take a look. And this is out of Phoenix, Arizona. Saying owners are abusing the law, a state senator wants to make it illegal to misrepresent a dog as a service animal in order to bring it into places where pets are not allowed. The proposal by John Kavanaugh, a Fountain Hills Republican, would allow judges to impose fines of up to $250 on someone who fraudulently misrepresents an animal as a service animal or service animal in training to anyone who operates any business or recreation site open to the public, as well as buses, taxis, and ambulances. An individual would have to produce proof that the animal had been trained for a specific chore covered by the Americans with Disabilities Act, Kavanaugh said. All right, how? What kind of proof are they looking for? Certificates from agencies? Obedience certificates from a trainer? What kind of proof exactly are they looking for? Because this could be a problem because not all legitimate handlers have the same proof. Some legitimate handlers haven't bothered to get any proof at all, and they're really, working risky. The senator said nothing in his proposed legislation, SB 1040, would allow a business owner to refuse to let someone enter the premises solely because of the failure to provide such written proof. In fact, existing Arizona law prohibits requiring identification for the service animal. Okay. So they can't deny somebody for not having this badge, proof, document, whatever they want to call it. A business can't deny a person coming in, and a person doesn't have to show it to them. So what good is it? What good is it? Fakers are just going to say, oh, I left it at home. I don't want to show it. I mean, that doesn't do anybody any good. Instead, Kavanaugh said it would be up to a business owner to file a complaint and have the issue heard by court. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Business owners, they're not going to believe people. Not all people, but some people. They're not going to believe them. They're going to call the police out. They're going to file a complaint, which is going to drag a legitimate handler into court to prove that they are a legitimate handler with a legitimate service dog. How is that helping anybody? I mean, it would be really nice for the fakers. It would be really nice. I'd like to make use of that for the fakers, but the danger to the legitimate handlers is just too great with that. You start telling people they can decide if somebody's for real, and then they start going off the rails. You can't do it. Instead, Kavanaugh said it would be up to a business owner to file a complaint and have the issue heard by a court. But Sara Kader, attorney for the Arizona Center for Disability Law, said that presents problems of its own. That's for darn sure. Kader said she could foresee a business owner calling the police on someone. Well, of course. Then the officer would issue a citation, forcing the person with the disability to find his or her way to court to answer the charges, as if all disabled people can drive or have the tools such as a car and gas money to drive. And if that person lacked transportation, she said a warrant for arrest would be issued, like I just said. She also questioned whether there really is a problem. Yeah, there really is a problem.
Cole, focus. Focus. No, focus. Focus. Focus.
Kader pointed out that Arizona law already gives businesses the right to reject any animal, including a service animal, if it misbehaves, is not housebroken, poses an undue burden, or poses a direct threat to the health and safety of others. That's true, but they don't because they're afraid of being sued. they can't seem to get it right and use some, reasonable discretion. So they act like stupid idiots, and then they get sued for it, and then they get afraid to talk to anybody. It's ridiculous. Underlying all that is an Arizona law that makes it illegal for anyone who operates a public place to discriminate against people with disabilities who use service animals if what the animals do is directly related to the individual's disability. Such service includes assisting people with vision and hearing loss or balance stability, pulling a wheelchair, or sensing when someone is about to have a seizure or other medical event. There's alert dogs for all kinds of medical events. The law also covers helping those with psychiatric and neurological disabilities by preventing or interrupting impulsive or destructive behaviors. Well, yeah, that's one. There's a crap ton more, just saying. But does not include animals purely for emotional support, comfort, or companionship. Generally speaking, service animals are dogs, but Arizona law also allows for the use of miniature horses. And that's not Arizona law, that's the ADA. They just mirrored what the ADA says. Kavanaugh said he has no problem when there is a legitimate need, but he's convinced that there are a lot more animals being brought into businesses than the law allows. He's right. People complain all the time. There was a dog in the coffee shop. A woman took a dog on a plane. Okay, all right, stop. The dog in the coffee shop may be perfectly legal on a plane. The ADA covers a coffee shop. The ACAA, Air Carriers Access Act, covers airplanes. And they're two different laws with two different standards and requirements. Let's get that straight. I see it everywhere, Kavanaugh continued. Everyone sees it, and it's getting out of control. Yeah. The tricky part for business owners is that they legally cannot ask someone with an animal about his or her disability. Instead, they can ask only if the animal is a service animal and what tasks the animal has been trained to perform. They cannot demand to see any sort of special ID card. Okay, so you're going to issue a special ID card that they cannot demand to see. Where did these people learn their critical thinking skills? At McDonald's? Hello? Kavanaugh said people abuse the system, and he sees nothing wrong with requiring people to prove to a judge that their animals have been properly trained for a specific disability covered by the ADA. I see nothing wrong with a person having to prove that to a judge. They should be able to. If they've got the dog out there in public, they should be able to prove these things in a court of law. That's just, you shouldn't even go into training a dog until you have your legal disability documented and all of that. And then be documenting along the way as you're training the dog. Assuming your state allows dogs in training. Some states don't allow that. Mine does. But citing people or allowing businesses to cite people, businesses can't manage to get it right as it is. They're going to deem a legitimate person not to be legitimate, call the cops out, cite them, force them into court. Nobody that's legitimate should have to be dealing with that. That's just insane. It's amazing that you can't get a placard to park your car in a disabled spot unless a doctor certifies that you're disabled. Before you start, get your documentation lined up with your doctor or a doctor, and not one of those online doctors. That doesn't count. It has to be a doctor that you physically see and talk to. Get that lined up before you even start with the dog, and you're ahead. But pretty much today, everybody can walk around and buy vests for their animals on the internet and claim non-trained animals are service animals. It makes no sense to me. Well, it kind of doesn't make sense to me either, but that's the way it is. Kader said one big flaw in Kavanaugh's proposal is that nothing in the law requires that a service animal be formally trained. She said that would subject people to who have trained their own animals for legitimate ADA covered needs to fines. That's true. Again, what kind of proof are they going to be looking for? That's going to be a big bugaboo. What kind of proof? Because owner trainers legitimately and well train their dogs every day. As many people as are faking and have ill-behaved dogs out there, there are owner trainers that take the training extremely seriously, and they often train to exceed IAADP, which is the International Association of Assistance Dog Partners. They have standards. Owner trainers routinely train past their standards, better than their standards. So what proof are they going to be looking for? And what if people are using the law and a claim of disability to bring Fluffy or Fido into the grocery store or restaurant solely to make sure they're not left in a hot car? Kader said she remains convinced the problem, to the extent one exists, is minor. So Kader obviously doesn't use a legitimate service dog. Let her legitimately use a legitimate service dog and have to see after that dog's welfare and safety as if her life depended on it, because it does, and see if she declares there's a problem after that. There's definitely a problem. I think Kavanaugh and others who are putting these laws forward are making a big deal, like there's thousands of people out there with these fraudulent service animals, she said. There are. Kader said business owners always have the option to approach someone and ask the two permitted questions to weed out who is entitled to bring that animal in. Yeah, they're entitled to do it, but they don't. And they don't because these business people, the employees, the management, they can't seem to get it right. So then they come down on somebody who's actually illegitimate. Then they get sued. Then they get scared and they don't ask anybody or do anything about anybody. There are very few people that are going to have responses to the specific questions, Kader said. Oh, no. Oh, no. I've seen videos. I've seen posts. They have it all lined up. Some of these fakers have it all lined up what they're going to lie about. They lie routinely about it. You know, somebody that has anxiety, a couple of times a year, a little nervous about something, suddenly claims, I have anxiety. And then they listen into legitimate service dog groups to find out what to say, what task to claim. And they can do it because you don't have to prove the task the dog does. Most people aren't going to lie and make up a disability and make up what their animal is trained to do in response. All right, what planet is she living on? They do it all the time. The police are going to get called if a business owner doesn't believe them, she said. It's just a disaster, I'll agree there. It really punishes the people with disabilities for the actions of a very few. Well, it's not a few, but disabled people ought not be punished for other people that can't follow the law. But Kavanaugh said those with disabilities should like this proposal. We're going to whittle away at an abuse and hopefully take the heat off legitimate service animals that are trained and are helping people, he said. This isn't the first time lawmakers have grappled with the issue. In 2015, Representative Bob Thorpe of Flagstaff proposed to have state health officials issue permits, complete with photos of owners and the dog or horse, to service animals. He insisted at the time that would actually help the disabled by ensuring they get fewer questions from business owners. That proved so controversial that it was killed unanimously in committee, with Thorpe voting against his own proposal. It's a disaster. This is not even going to go through. As soon as people start bringing up, well, the ADA says this, and the ADA, says that, and the Department of Justice will go after you. This will die just like the last one, I hope. But if I moved to Arizona, this is what I'd have to be dealing with. I don't want to be dealing with this. Anyway, what do you guys think? Like, subscribe, comment. No comments from the peanut gallery. Thanks, guys. Bye.